Hey folks, it's Fridgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Boulder Canyon here in Farming Simulator 19. We're going to continue on with turning our hay, and while the tractor carries on and does that, just going to let it turn around a minute, we're going to head over there and we're going to start cutting down a few more trees just to occupy our time for a little bit, and then once this tractor sort of gets through a little bit more of this field, we'll then go and get the rake. That one can get started racing up and down the fields. And when this one then finishes, we should be able to go and get our baler and start racing up and down the field ourselves and doing some baling. Everything, you know, if all goes well. If everything goes according to plan, we should be able to do all of this very easily. So we will skip out here and let that one carry on. Hopefully he's going to be all hunky-dory and tickety-boo and wonderful. And we will go up over here. So I've got some trees that are felled in this line down through here. And then I've also made a bit of a line up at the top, where we sort of put some through going over that way. I don't think that that tree up there is going to be causing us any issues. I can't imagine that it would. It's solid anyway. If you go up to it, definitely seems to be alright. Right, anyway, we'll leave that one. So, we're also going to leave that great big tall tree right there. Again, that one, well, I think he's alright. It sort of seems alright. Not going right into the tree. That is always a bit of a concern, is whether or not we actually go sort of right into the tree and it causes any issues. Right, I'm going to start cutting these trees down over here. We're going to start working sort of on this little bit over here and get all of these felled. So I'll start with this one right here. I'll keep a little bit of an eye on the hired help down the bottom. It could very well be that it will just come up to say that the hired help is finished. Well, that's fine. If it does that, it does that. There's not really a lot that we can do about it. We go running up through there and take that lot off. I'm hoping that by the time we finish doing the hay, and then we'll have to fast forward the time a little bit to allow for the time it takes to pick up all the bales, and then we want to go and get fertilizer on the fields. We're going to be looking at end of day. Well, close to the end of the day. We're going to be getting a lot closer towards the end of the day. And so what I was thinking is, thus, you know, we'll get another sheep or two, and then we'll have to skip the night, and that will be, well, by the time we come around to the morning, we'll definitely have gotten another sheep, so that'll take us up to 50. But we'll also have a little bit of wool down there as well. And that bit of wool that we'll have in the sheep pen, we should be able to sell a bit of that. We don't get a huge amount of money for selling the wool, but we do get some. And if we've got a couple pallets there, that could equate to another load of timber's worth. If we get two pallets of wool and sell them for over $1,000 per 1,000 litres, then yeah, we've got easily the equivalent of another load of timber, which is actually really good. That's the sort of thing that we want. We want to get more loads like that, if we can. If we can. There's a big if. Does depend on the price. Because I've noticed that the price of the wool, it's a little bit more temperamental, isn't it? I think we've only seen above 1,000 just once so far. Let me just go back through here. How long is this piece? I'm thinking 3 for this one. I reckon we need to cut this one into 3. It's not an ideal sort of tree, that one there, I don't think. Let's have a look at the wool at the moment. See, right now, 929. That's not too bad. The silage was alright, but 929 for wool. I'm fairly convinced that we can get it above 1,000, so we don't want to be selling until we get above 1,000 unless we've got all of our pallets full. If we've got all the pallets full, then we've got no choice but to at least sell a little bit. Even then, I'd be more inclined to keep the pallets and just have like the smaller pallets and sell a big group of them all together. we won't get any more of the 10,000 litre pallets. We won't have any more of them sat around. We will just have to sell the timber in a slightly different way. Right, we'll chop that one off there. Come down here. We'll do this one into 3 as well. Take you out. I'll cut down one more tree, and then I'm going to go and check up on our driver down the bottom. So we'll chop this one down here. Take that one out. Helper A has completed their task. Now, that is something I highly doubt. I very much doubt that that helper has completed their task. They're normally fairly useless at completing their task. They may have completed one little section of the field, but I doubt we've completed the task properly. Let's just whack that one off of there, and... Ooh. Cutting that into 3 might not be the optimal length, I don't think, but it'll have to do. Right, we need to run back down to the bottom of the hill. There we go. He has come to the end of the field and then stopped. He hasn't actually finished his job at all. He's just decided to give up and go home because it was too much like hard work to turn the tractor around. Poor person, whoever it was that was doing our work. Well, now they've had to go somewhere else to find employment. What a shame. So we'll spin this one round, and I'll start that one on there, and then we're going to... There's actually a little tiny bit right there that is still grass. There's another... Is there other bits around? I don't know. It's not significant enough, I don't think. We'll bring this one over here like this. I'll run down there. Right, I'll start like that. Okay. Lower down. Off you go. Right, well that's actually working. It is actually doing what it's supposed to do. Did the other one do what it was supposed to do? It drove up... Oh, yes, it did. Look. It looks like it drove up there part way, and then it would have lifted. It would have gone forward. It dropped it down again, but I'm not quite sure how it did the turning round at the other end. And it does look like it may have missed a little bit. Yes, it did. It's missed quite a big piece at this end. So we will also stop the tractor and let it deal with that as well. There's a big old chunk of it there that hasn't been done. So I will stop you a minute, like that. I'll bring that back over there and start that up. Just as it goes through there. And then... I'm not sure which way round I should do this. I don't know whether I should start it at the other side and sort of work to... I don't think I will. I won't work towards longer runs. We'll just do it like we normally do and work towards the shorter runs like this. Just like that. Right, off you go. And we will run over here and we'll get this one set up. There. We get this one right here. I'll just go and start this one over the far side of the field. It doesn't really need anything in particular. It just needs to have us put the thing there and press go. That's all it really needs. And then we'll jump back over to the tractor over there with the hay turner on it, and we'll go and watch that one for a little bit, just while it finishes up the field, and then we can get our baler on. We have cut up a few trees. I know that we could probably cut up more trees, but we won't for a minute. So we'll lower you down there, and you're away. Rowing that up very nicely. Hopefully it's going to gather all of it. We'll just watch this one go all the way up through a minute. So there we go. With our very first hay harvest that we're doing. We're now rowing up for the very first time with our hay. It's not exactly the first time we've ever used the rowing machine, but the rake, but it's the first time we've ever used it to row up hay. So it's kind of a significant event, even if it's not, hugely significant. It is a milestone, I feel. A milestone we can be proud of. We've done a lot of work to get to this point, so I definitely feel it's something that we can be proud of. Seriously, you're doing that nonsense again? You don't need to do that, don't you? You could just leave the thing down and finish the field. Finish the run. I don't know why. Every single time. It's completely and utterly ludicrous. It doesn't need to do that at all. There is no need for this nonsense. Absolutely no need. Right, we'll just watch it go up to the other end, because I'm curious what's going to happen with the tiny, tiny, tiny little sliver of green grass that's up there. And that one down there has still got quite a bit to go before it actually finishes that field. So let that one keep going. It's taking longer than I thought to do the hay turning. However, I'm not all that concerned about it, because, like I've said before, we're unlikely to need to go and buy more hay for a very long time now. We've got some for the sheep, and we're really not going to need any more for absolutely ages. And you've decided to... Really? You're going to... You lift... What is wrong with this thing? It really doesn't like small amounts, does it? Right, anyway, we're hired helps, so we need to we need to jump between them like this. And you're doing that bit. I'll let the hired help go down there and just do that one there. And then I'll probably finish it off myself, just because otherwise it's going to take forever, because it's the turning the corners that it seems to really struggle with. It'll do the rest, but it does seem to struggle with turning the corners. And then, as soon as we've done this, we can go and get our baler, and we can start chasing that rake up and down the fields. Which will be absolutely awesome. We might be able to finish most of the hay, well, most of the baling, at least, in today's episode. I don't know, but we might be able to. Right, let's turn you over like that, and I'll start you up. There we go. Right. Now we got me on the case, rather than the hired help. I'm going to do this faster than the hired help was doing it. I'm also going to turn corners. You know, things like that. Because you can do that with a hay turner. It's designed so that you don't have to pick it up. So that you don't drive over the hay that you've just fluffed up and squash it back down again. Because 3/4 of the drying action, at least in my country, 3/4 of the drying action doesn't come from the heat of the sun. A lot of the drying action actually comes from the wind being able to get through and carry stuff away. Some years, yes, the sun plays a huge part of it. Other years, the sun is generally hiding behind clouds and so doesn't have a huge say in how well the hay gets dried out, and it's more reliant on a good strong breeze going through it all. So long as you've got a good strong breeze going through it all, it's usually alright. So that's why you need to keep the hay turner on the ground and keep it running. You don't want to be picking the thing up while you're on top of the hay, because it's not good for it. It doesn't really work very well. Anyway, that bit's done. So now I can go and get my baler. We'll fold this one up as we go. Like that. The rake is still going strong over that side. Doing a wonderful job. Might just go and check on it in a minute. Is he going to get... I'm just curious if he's going to get all of that run up through. He is. Excellent. No funny business around the rock either. Excellent. That's what we want. I'm just going to park this one back up. We haven't really done enough. It's not dirty. We haven't really done anything to warrant having to worry about anything else with it. But I tell you what, I'm not going to park it right there. I'm going to put this one back here in the corner, somewhere where we're going to use it a lot less. So I'll put you back over to there, like that. Lower you down there. Like that. And the rake is still going, and it's not the speediest one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the tractor up here, and I'm just going to hose it down a minute. It'd be good to be able to... We'll also clean off the mower that we've got right here, the other mower across the way there. And if we'll get the tractor cleaned down a little bit, because quite frankly at the moment it's absolutely filthy and I can't see out the windows. And it's something that I always used to do, like run around with the tractor fairly grubby, admittedly, while we were doing hay. But think something that I would do in the morning with my tractor. It didn't matter what tractor I was using, how old the tractor was, if it had any glass in it. I would make sure that the glass was absolutely spotless at the beginning of the day when I was doing hay turning. And so you get a much better view of the world. Although usually you liked to use the tractors that had a solid roof on them. You definitely wanted the solid roof. But you didn't want the ones that had too much in the way of glass windows all the way around. You preferred the older tractors that generally a lot of the windows had already been, you know, broken and fallen out. The doors had fallen off, that sort of thing, because it allowed a lot more of the breeze to get through, and you weren't sitting in a portable greenhouse in the middle of summer, which is never really a good thing. Sitting in said portable greenhouse through the summer is not something that is high on my list of things to, you know, things that are fun to do. Definitely not a things that are fun to do type achievement thing. Right, let's bring this one along over here. Yeah, we've got a little bit of missing, sort of a bit of a mess there at the end where it's turning round by the rock, but it is still turning. That's the important thing. It is still turning round. So let's get started with this one, and on we go. There we go. See, it always just kind of catches a little bit when you pick up a new crop with your baler. There is our very first line of hay that we're picking up. We'll run up through here and grab this one, get our first bale out, and we're going to answer the question definitely one way or the other in a minute. Will it wrap hay? If it does wrap the hay, we're in trouble. We are then going to need something different, and I'm actually thinking that if it does wrap the hay, I will actually just go and lease a different baler. I know that the series says no leasing, but you're not ever going to go and buy a brand new baler with a wrapper on board that you cannot not wrap bales, right? But it's not going to do it. So I would say that if it did forcibly wrap the bales and didn't allow us to leave the bales as hay, and it forcibly wrapped them and turned them to silage, I would say that is something that shouldn't be. That's definitely a scenario that shouldn't ever happen, and so therefore it would warrant a breaking of the rules that we have. But we don't need to worry about it because it's dumping out the bales of hay. So it's not an issue. It's a non-issue. It's nothing that we have to concern ourselves with in any way, shape, or form. Do we lose a bit of crop going up through here? Because there doesn't seem to be as much. I don't know if it's just this particular run up through here, but there definitely seems to be less hay than there is silage normally. So I'm wondering, I'm curious now, if the action of going up through and... See, I'm getting a little bit laggy up this end again. It's always this end. We always get a little tiny bit laggy up at this end. Does making hay, does it reduce the quantity of material that we end up with? Curious now. Does anybody know for certain if you do a field with silage and you do round bale silage bales or just round bale grass, do you end up with the same amount of crop as you do when you go through with the hay turner first and then rake it all up? Do they give you the same quantities, or do you actually lose some quantity when you go over it with the hay turner before you go over it with anything else? Is this a thing? I don't know if this is a thing or not. If it is a thing, I'd very much like to know about it, because it means that we're losing crop on this, and you shouldn't really be. I know that it does reduce the well, saying that, silage does have a higher volume than hay, because you've removed a whole load of the water. The moisture content is gone. I am definitely lagging right now. Right? It looks like the machine is slipping a bit, but it's not. It's actually the game itself is lagging. Which we've got this. It's that whole strange thing up at this end where it's lagging. I'm pretty sure that there are a load of those trees in there that are the ones that don't have the you know what I mean. They don't have all of the collision on them. Those strange trees that we've encountered a few times. I'm pretty certain that there's some of them behind. I'm actually physically pointing right now. By the way, I'm sat at my desk and I'm physically pointing over my shoulder as we run down here. They can't see you, Frith. Okay, you don't have a webcam. That's a decision that you took. And yeah. Right. Anyway, I still mean the bales down here, right in front of us, all the way down here. Now, what are you doing? It's going through there. You know what? I'm not getting involved. I'm past the point where I care enough to want to get involved now. We'll let the hired help do whatever it feels it needs to do, so long as it keeps rowing up the hay. That's the important part. So long as it keeps rowing up the hay, then we're happy. But yeah, I'm pretty certain there's a whole load of those trees down there that don't have the full collision on them, which is why we're getting this strange lag. Because I noticed that when we were near the trees over there, we had, like, it was quite a significant quantity of lag as well, up until we cut those trees down. And then in that little area, it kind of came out all right again. So that's my theory, is that we've got there's some sort of strange goings on over there. I'm just weaving around like this so that I can pick up all of the odd little bits, save us having to go back through with the rake later on and do it. If I go through this way like this, gather up that bit there, and then I'll come down that run like that. I'm hoping the rake will be able to get down through there without too much issue. Should do. It looks like it will. Looking at where he's run just then, he should be able to turn round and go all the way down across without actually losing any access to any of it. Oops. That's the second time I've done that. Picked up the bale like that and then carried on going without actually meaning to. So I'll bring this one back up here. We'll unload the bale there. And then I'll go around here. It's because I'm getting distracted. I'm distracting myself, talking about different things, and trying to watch what that crazy hired help is doing over there as well. Bring you back this way. We'll do... I'll just do a couple... Rather than worrying about bringing the rake over here, if I just do a couple passes up and down like this, that'll gather it all up. And I won't have to worry about it. Let's turn you round like that. I can. There. And then back over this way. I need to just gather up the rest of that end run there. Just get that bit. Like that. There we go. Pick all of that up. And then we'll back out of here and have another go. We've got a bit right there to get. And then I got one more bit just a little bit further up. Oops. Doesn't really go very well. My whole reversing thing is I'm not doing it very well at the moment. In fact, I'm doing it very, very poorly. It's got to be said. I'm turning way too sharp as I reverse. Probably doing it a little bit too fast. Bit of damage going on there with our PTO. Probably should take a little bit more care with it. Be a little bit more respectful of my machine that I'm operating. Anyway, I have at least picked up everything that's on the field, so we've got that under our belts. Even if I have destroyed the PTO shaft whilst doing so, I've still managed to get under the belt. Now, somebody was saying, a couple of people said actually, is that, I know, pretty sure Nigel Pipe and Petro Gracemark both talked about this, the fact that for tractors with the PTO shaft on the back, that we have the universal joint, it's the UJ that we've got here, isn't it? It's a universal joint that's used on the PTO shaft, and not the one that is used in on a car, like the one on the car on the wheels, which has got like all the bearings and everything in it. Different joints, and they're wondering why you don't use one of those, which would work at sharper angles and be less likely to take damage whilst going around sharp corners as well. Reason being, and I can answer this, it's because these right here are significantly more robust, and a typical PTO on a piece of farm machinery does have to take a lot of abuse, right? There is a lot of heavy work that is put through, and so that would be why. It's because of the significant amount of damage that it would take. If you use the same sort of joint that is used on the steering on the car on the bottom of the car. Not on the steering, on the steering, it's not on the steering rack. It's to the steering wheels at the front. Those, there's more moving parts on those, and as far as I know, they're not able to be as robust as the one that we've got on here. There's a PTO joint on there. That is very, very strong, and it's got to be. And for the most part, it's not really designed to go round sharp corners or anything like that. It's designed to be mostly straight, but be able to continue working as it does go round some corners. And yes, you can strain it and you can put it round a tight corner if you want to, but it isn't really designed to do that. It's designed to allow for it. That would be the best way I can describe it, is that it's designed to allow for it, but do too much of that right there, and it will cause damage over time. So in order to prolong the life of your PTO as much as possible, you limit doing that as much as possible. But I have seen people going around some pretty sharp corners with them, and they start clacking and making all sorts of funny noises, but they'll keep going. And yes, I have also seen a PTO break apart, and you do get bits of metal fly around a bit, or sometimes it just kind of cracks and stops working. It does depend on the machine in hand. You can have them go for years and years and years and be put up with all kinds of abuse, and they never get broken, they never get damaged. And then other times, you know, it doesn't take very much at all, and they just kind of break in half. It's entirely dependent on that one and whether there's stress in the metal, that sort of thing. But yes, the reason that we have these and not the one that you would find on the bottom of the car, I can't remember what the one on the bus is. It a CV joint? Is that what it's called? Is it the CV joint? I can't remember. But yeah, the reason we have these and not the one that you get on the bottom of the car is because these are significantly stronger. They are much, much stronger, more robust, and just generally will work better for the purpose. I think some new PTO shafts now, especially like the ones that are doubled up, they might employ some of the same technology that is used on the ones that you see on the cars. They are different, and they are designed to be able to go around sharper corners and maintain load as well. And those are the ones that you often see on the big balers and stuff like that. Or at least this is where I used to see them. But I've got to remember, I'm telling you these things, but I've not actively worked in agriculture for more than a decade. So I'm just sort of on the outside of farming and looking in. So there's a lot of small things that could have happened or could be around at the moment that I'm like not 100% aware of. Things like the GPS systems. You know, GPS systems on tractors. I said, you know, I thought that these was like things that was added in afterwards, and you just kind of have it and it was accurate to, say, the nearest 10 centimeters or the nearest half meter or something like that. And then I was corrected, and I was told, well, actually, almost all tractors these days have GPS fitted as standard. It's only like very small tractors that wouldn't have a GPS system built in as standard. And even then, it's an optional extra that you can go and have. Also, the GPS systems that are installed, even the ones that are installed afterwards, that aren't installed as standard, you go along and fit them to older tractors, they're very, very good. They are accurate to within 5 millimeters or more than that. So they are really incredibly accurate. You can get absolute sort of pristine, perfect spacing on your field with your seed drills and stuff like that. And I wasn't aware of all this. This is all stuff that's happened since I left farming. And so this is like that was all new stuff to me. I found all of this out, last year before, something like that. I was talking a lot about the GPS, and people were filling me in, correcting my ignorance, which is absolutely great. I always like to have my ignorance corrected. And so, yeah, there are other aspects of it that I'm not fully aware of, because, like I said, I'm not in farming anymore. I'm just on the outside looking in and talking about experiences I had 10, 15 years ago, which is a significant amount of time. Technology has jumped forward quite a lot in that time. Anyway, we will finish up the very last couple of bales in our next episode, and then we can go and pick them all up, because we've run out of time for today. So if you've enjoyed this episode, then please head down below and give us a like, and if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me, get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.